Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding episode 127. I'm Big Ron Partlow. Of course, Dusty Hanshaw and Scott McNally are with me, and we are live because we couldn't record Monday like usual, so we decided to go live as we do occasionally. So, what's up, guys? I guess let's start with Scott. I haven't talked to you since you got married.
Married.
That's
You're gonna have to come back to me in just a minute. I've got some technical stuff over here I'm running with. So go to Dusty. Go to Dusty.
That's an.
Oh
I
boy,
think that's
I
an
didn't
out.
get married. I'm not exciting. All right. Well, you already know what's going on with me, Ron. The big news for us this weekend, the three of us, even though one of us decided to big league us and not come, is
I'm back, by the way. We're good.
We were very stoked and could not believe how many people came up to the booth to talk about the show. Like, Ron and I were, by about halfway through the first day, I was kind of looking at him like, holy shit. Like a lot of people with a lot of stories. Yeah, literally, I was blown away. So thank you to all of you that showed up, because it was definitely humbling and exciting and made us realize, like, oh, I guess, more than my mom listens to the show. Cool.
Yeah, my whole thing is like, without going to all the expos and stuff, I've just been at my gym. And so I know there's some people at my gym that listen to it, and that's pretty much the only people that I ever discuss it with. So it feels like we just do it and then we just move on, And so going to the expo and having like people come up and give you feedback, and people say like they went out of their way, like last 5 minute crew, like a lot of people were saying
That's
that.
Cool.
And also people just saying like, oh, my favorite episode was, blah, 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 blah. And they'll like reference a favorite episode or whatever. And then people saying other stuff too. Like, yeah, I'm on my second time through them.
Huh.
Like I had more than one person say that. Like, oh, I'm on my second time through them. I went and started back at the beginning. And I'm like, what?
It's like Peaky Blinders.
Like incredible.
Only it's us.
Yeah. And well, he goes, yeah, there was something that I was looking for. So I just went back and listened to all of them. So yeah, just kind of funny stuff like that. So we really had it was great to see everybody just, remind us that people are listening, because, you see the number and then you add up all the Spotify and stuff sometimes and let us know. And so it's just kind of funny to, actually see that it's real people that actually, it's not like just bots,
So Scott, tell us about the wedding.
All right. So I'm bummed, first of all, that I had to miss the Arnold. When we planned the wedding literally like a month ago, we didn't even think about the fact that the Arnold was coming up, or I would have like waited and planned it 1 week later. But we have an immigration lawyer, and we were listening to his advices. So we had to do what we had to do, and it went awesome. Like, it was the best wedding ever, because she had her dad, her two sisters, and then I had my mom and my dad and my sister. So there was literally like 6 guests. We got married at this cool little greenhouse. It was beautiful. She looked amazing, like just like drop dead gorgeous, amazing. And we had fun with it. There was nothing like no drama, no having to like, we have to go talk to these people now and these people, and don't forget about that guy and all of that. And then, so it was nice. And then we just all went out and we had really good steaks, like these, you ever hear like a Wagyu steak?
Of course.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was like the best steak I ever had in my life, these steaks. So I guess they massage the cows daily.
And they feed them beer too.
Do they? They feed them beer?
Yeah, it fattens them up. Yeah.
They
feed them beer.
It was good. It was good.
Everyone knows that, Scott.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't go out for this stuff. I eat a burger.
Ron again with the random information. I'm like, how does he know this? I don't, but yeah,
Well,
Wagyu is the shit. It's also $1 billion. So good luck with the financing. I hope it goes well.
So I did watch the Arnold on the live feed, which I also want to say they're not really our sister channel, Fuad's channel, but kind of like a cousin of us, I would say. He was on the live feed and they did an incredible job. So I got to watch that from home, and I saw Ron on TV.
He's kind of a big deal now. I didn't even know if he would come, to be honest, today. I thought he was kind of done with us after that.
Yeah.
So did
The
you
way that he
were you
delivered.
surprised when I walked out on stage?
That was awesome, man. I've got a clip of it here. I'm going to see if I can, I'll put it in I can't put it in post-production. We're live, but
We're live, fool.
it was amazing though. I was sitting there at my TV. Here it is. And if you listen to the very end, you hear me start laughing. This is 8 seconds long, so just bear with me a second. Let's see. Oh, wait, it's not going to play. Hold on. Apparently it's not going to play. But yeah, there was Ron. You see him standing over there. As
She
the
shook
whole
the
thing was
hand
going down.
of Arnold as well.
I saw that.
So it was funny. So they told me I was going to give out, because Mutant was a title sponsor.
Yeah.
So they told me I was going to give out the Franco Colombo Most Muscular Award. And I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. Fuck,
Yeah.
I'll do that. And then I'm backstage, and Ian, our marketing guy, comes and grabs me and takes me backstage, and we're backstage just hanging out, and it's pretty chill. And it was funny because Victor comes off stage. Victor was giving out the awards for the wellness.
Yeah.
So he was one of the guys. So Victor Martinez, he's got a suit on. He's doing
good.
awards for the ladies categories. Yeah. So he goes out on stage to give his award to the winner, right? And then it was funny because I was watching the monitor, and then Arnold comes in with the trophy and just kind of like wedges Victor out. And Victor just kind of looks like he doesn't know where to go, and then he just walks off stage. And he comes off stage to where I'm standing, and he's laughing. And he goes, man, I didn't know where to go. Arnold showed up, so I just ghosted everybody.
I love that dude.
So he literally, Victor went out and like gave her the medal or whatever and raised her hand. And then when Arnold came out, he just walked off stage.
Yeah.
So I'm laughing. And then I get to the top of the stage and they give me the jacket to hold. And the lady says to me, you're going to give the winner the award. And then when you come off, Arnold will go on. That's what she said.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what's in my head. So we walk out. I give Brandon the coat, raise his hand. Brandon gives me a little bro hug. We talk.
It was cool.
And then I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, Arnold's like walking towards where I'm standing. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Now I feel like Victor.
Yeah.
Where the fuck do I go? What do I do? And I just laugh because
You had fair warning. You still didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
like I saw it happen to Victor, but then she disarmed me by saying that we would come off and Arnold would go on. And I figured that's because he does the mic. He does like, I don't know. I just figured it's because it was the guys category or something, but that's not what happened. So, and then Arnold turned to me and he had his hand out like this. He sort of had his hand out like, I don't know, like sort of like that. Right. And so it's like, I wasn't sure, is he reaching for the jacket or is he shaking my hand?
And you're on stage in front of everybody.
And I'm on stage holding the jacket. And then he looks me right in the eye. And I think, okay, he's looking me in the eye now. That's like a handshake situation.
Yeah.
I figured. So I shook his hand. It seemed right, I think.
It looked right
And then he
as
just
the
kept-
audience.
Yeah, I don't know.
It looked good.
And then I said something to him. I can't fucking remember exactly. And he said something back.
Just fuck your freedom. And then he said something back.
And then I walked off stage. I stood there for a second after that, and then I was like, okay, I have to leave now. So then I just like turned. So I'm trying to escape. I'm like walking pretty quickly to the like exit.
Yeah.
And I see Steve Kuklo out of my corner of my eye step back and reach out his hand. And so now I'm like, oh shit, I have to stop again.
Yeah.
So then it was just weird. So I was shaking Steve's hand and I'm like, I don't know what to do. It was so funny. And I came off stage and I thought it looked fucking terrible, right? Like I thought I must have looked like a bumbling idiot. But then when I watched the video, it was like just like
It was
everyone
smooth.
else.
It was
couldn't tell, like like it's just a second in time, but to you it's like this minute of awkwardness.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Only Ron reads that. You should have heard him describe it to me straight off a stage.
I got so
He's
nervous
telling me
all
all
of a
this,
sudden.
and I was like, Ron, it literally looked like you just seamlessly, did the whole thing. I did feel like
Yeah,
you
but
shunned
it's
the
just
other half
funny.
of the stage because you didn't say hi to those guys that also did well. He only said hi to
was funny.
Steve and Justin. He's like, fuck you guys other than that. But
Yeah, I didn't go the other way, right? So then I'm like, was I supposed to shake all their hands? Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was supposed to do. They don't give you any instructions. It's just not
it
the
was
same
great.
as a local show. You know, when you're at a local show and they're like, "Do you want to give out a trophy?" You're like, "Sure." Just walk out, give a
Yeah, you
trophy,
walk out
raise
and
a
don't
hand.
think.
This is easy.
Yeah.
Then Arnold shows up with a microphone, and you're like, "Oh my god, how many live streams did they sell? Is this like 200,000 people watching? Like, what's going on here?"
Yeah, it was more
So
than that.
I got a
we know,
comment
but
on.
yeah.
I got a comment on Dusty's new West Coast Iron hat matching his Blue Mutant shirt.
Yes.
And
this is all part of the
it's
master
good.
plan today.
It's good.
And I finally got a Dusty Hanshaw "Fuck Attention, Earn Respect" shirt.
I like
And I
that.
gotta point that out.
Right.
It's good.
So
We did a
thank
little
you,
gift
Dusty.
exchange at breakfast. It was quite
Yeah, it
lovely.
was pretty cute.
Did you guys get any pictures? Did you get pictures for me?
We
for
did.
the
We got
show?
like 5.
Did you? Good. Okay.
We got
Remember,
like 5.
Ron got them all. He's got them.
We had people
Ron did
asking.
great.
They're
I
like,
got
I
a
wonder
couple
if
of
they
nothing.
got the pictures. And I was like, I'm
We
not
did
going to
like
bet on
three
it.
went out
all
of
at
our
once.
way. Yeah, we
was
went really
impressive.
out of our way to like take them like on the last day at the last second.
Good. So they're all the same shot, basically, is what you're telling
Right,
me.
right. Just slightly different
Also.
positions.
We spent the entire weekend together, literally, other than going to rest, and we still got 5 pictures in one location within 3 seconds of each other.
Statistically, that's good for you guys, so we'll take it.
We also
get
got
a-
one at a table
get
though
a
with a
bit
bunch
of
of
a
people. That was
variety.
kind of cool.
Yeah?
What's that?
Yeah, we
What's
just
that?
have to. I said we got one at the table. There's just you got to get rid of like 18 other people. But if you want to do that, we got another one.
Just use like a black bar to cover all their eyes out, like on like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And post that as a photo of us. That'd be funny.
Dining with.
So
Ron.
let's talk about the fucking show. What did
We
you?
just did.
That's who's gonna start. Who's gonna start? Did you watch enough?
Scott is gonna
Scott, do you
start.
have an opinion?
Well, I was not there, as we've already discussed.
Yeah, we know you ditched us.
Yeah.
Going by the live stream.
Yeah, going by the live
Going by the
stream.
live stream.
Prejudging, I was shocked by Bonnick, and we did kind of like a little wrap up. Nate Spear, Andrew Berry, Skip Hill, and I. A lot of people on our channel probably saw that, but I was shocked that Bonnick looked so good, and shocked in a good way. Like I didn't expect him, and I think a lot of people didn't expect him to look as good as he did. It was fantastic. I think getting with Chad was probably a really good move for him, and it's exciting, and it was cool to see him come back because I remember I had the chance to go backstage for the 2020 Arnold and watch all the guys pump up, and being like right there up next to him, just the way his physique looked that year and he won looked so incredible. And I was like, it was a life, like honestly, it was a life-changing moment being like 3 feet from the guy and seeing that, and just the whole experience was cool. But then from there, I hadn't really seen him show up the way, we'd want him to. And I kind of had wondered like, yeah, is this it? Is this it for Bonnick?
Mm-hmm.
And then he did this. So I was pleasantly surprised. And I thought to myself, holy shit, he's going to beat Brandon Curry. Like I thought going into this, like Brandon was going to be by himself and there'd be everybody else, the battle would
Right.
be second through whatever. And it wasn't the case. So that was cool. Then at the night show, I thought that Brandon looked really good. I thought Bonnick looked even better. But then I started asking myself, I was like, are they going to give it to Bonnick? And I started looking at pose for pose shape. And I've got a bunch of pictures if you guys wanted to talk about any of them. I don't think this is the best one of Brandon, but shape wise, I felt like, okay, I could kind of see how, they could still give this to Brandon. But at the same time, it's like, to me, I thought Bonnick was the guy that really stood out to me. So that was my take on it. And then I didn't even talk about the rest of the placings, but I thought that was the biggest news, I guess, the biggest story of the event.
Right.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
What does Dusty think
Well,
of the Arnold?
I mean, the big thing that as you guys know, I was pretty forward that I thought Brandon was going to dust everybody. But being there at the night show, and we had really good seats also, I had William winning without question. And I think, which is funny because I don't have a pretty physique, but I always prefer the pretty physique. And I just didn't see it close. So there was that. I really thought it was William absolute, Brandon second, Steve a phenomenal third.
That was cool. That was another great line.
And Ron did say that when he was on stage that William was even freakier when he got up there. Like, you'll have to
Huh.
explain, Ron, but you know, you said it was pretty drastic, right? When you walked up.
Well, yes, no, all I meant was when I walked on stage, I was holding the jacket and I'm behind everybody. So obviously I'm not seeing like what they're presenting, right? But you know, you get
Right.
that real candid look. Everyone's standing completely relaxed and you're walking up behind the ball.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, Bonak's the hardest guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just something that just my brain just calculated. I'm like, that's the hardest guy. That guy right there is harder than everyone else. But just you know, like it's noticeable to me. Now, the thing with Bonak is his ab there. So his ab thigh, I thought was really weirdly not working. Like, I thought it was a pose that he like actually scored last on. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
You can see he was having a hard time getting his abs. You can see that. I mean,
like
that's
I'm
just
not sure what
what
was wrong. And like I don't have a clue what's going on. Like if he just had like too much food in him, or he just has having a hard time with his abs or something, or like I don't know what. But I just felt like his ab thigh, there was like something wrong with the pose. Like he couldn't hit it, and he would literally be getting like if you're looking at the top 6 call out, he would literally be, if you're going pose for pose, he would be 6th in that pose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his side tricep suffered on the abs as well, if you look at it.
Yeah, and so there's a couple poses, the side tricep as well. I just don't think I'm a fan of Bonak's side tri. And I mean, that photo looks awesome, but
that picture
I'm just
phenomenal,
saying,
but yeah.
yeah, that photo looks awesome, but I'm just saying, I don't know if that's the way I would have him do it for his body. And then his side chest is like hyper muscular, but I'm also not really a fan of his structure in the side chest. I know that sounds funny, but like, I don't know. I like guys that look like they lift their chest up and out, and he almost looks like he kind of, I don't know, pushes down and in with his. And again, like I might just be overly critical of his structure in a couple of poses.
Yeah.
But then I thought he won the back double.
By
right?
a mile.
So he wins the back double to me. And so just because the glutes were harder than everybody and the hamstrings were more like clearly cut.
So much material too.
So then also too, I'm going to let everybody off the hook here. I was standing backstage and I don't know if it was a fog machine or if it was like it was supposed to keep the air cooler or something. I don't know, but there was like a fucking fog machine. It was like pumping out like white smoky mist, and then a fan was blowing it straight up into the air behind the curtain.
What?
Yeah. And they were just like cranking it out, and it was just cranking the whole time I was back there. Like it was nonstop, just running, just cranking this white mist up. Like, I don't know if it was fog machine or what it was, because I couldn't quite get close enough to tell. But the air was like hazy. The whole place was like hazy, had like a haze to it. And, you know, obviously that's like air quality would matter at a bodybuilding show when you're looking at guys that are like 4% body fat. So I'm just wondering if, like, unless you were super close, you were literally looking through kind of cloudy, like the whole place was kind of cloudy.
It was like filtered,
and
basically.
Yeah, I know a lot of people
in a negative
are like,
way.
what's he talking about? Yeah, but I'm just saying, I was backstage. There was a fucking fan there blowing, like it was blowing like white fucking mist up in the air, and it looked like a smoke machine. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I guess that's just to set the ambiance or whatever. But, you know, and so everyone watching a live stream too, like, you know, I'm just saying, you know, when I was standing up on stage, I was like, you know what, the judges were right down, like they were. Then I was like, fuck, whatever. I guess these guys know what is going on up here. I can definitely say that Brandon looked great. Like he looked fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And Bonak looked great, fucking better than he's been in years. And then I think Steve Kuklo could have even placed higher.
Really?
Like if the judges would have put Steve ahead of either one of those guys, and he would have landed a second, no one would have been like, what? Everyone would have been like, fuck, they went with Steve. Yep, this is fuck okay, about time. Like he gets some love, you know, like that, like, you know, it wasn't any sort of like top 2 and then runaway.
Yeah.
Kukla was right fucking there. Like, you go on Steve's Instagram and look at those night show pictures of him and his posing routine. Like, he just looked fucking incredible. And when I was up on stage, I remember thinking, like, he's fucking huge. You know, he's bigger than everybody else. That's what I think. I don't know. He's one of the biggest guys out there right now. But he looked really good, man. And some people were like, oh, his legs were downsized. And they were saying all this stuff about him. And I'm like, I don't know what you were looking at, but he was just fucking peeled, you know?
Yeah, his legs were not down for sure. Like, I feel like he proved that a lot of us have to remember to just come all the way down, because he was down 10 pounds from last year and he looked bigger.
Yeah, he just looked awesome. I don't know.
Look bigger.
Yeah, and then Justin. So I got to say, Justin Rodriguez. I don't think I realized how big he was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've seen him. Did he do the 2019 Olympia? Like, I didn't see
Arnold last year. He got what? He got third last year or fourth last year as well.
He did really good
last year as well. Yeah.
I didn't realize how big he was. I thought he was going to be like one of the smaller guys in the class, I guess. And then when I realized how big he was awesome. I really felt like, oh, wow, I missed him when I called my top 5, because I just thought he was a smaller guy.
Huh. Yeah.
And I didn't realize how big his arms are. He's got the fucking craziest front double. Like, the arms in the front double are just ridiculous, you know? So, yeah, it was good. And then Samson was 5th, right?
Yeah.
Was he 6th?
5th.
5th. He was 5th.
Yeah.
He impressed me. I didn't realize how big he was either. Those two guys. I thought Samson
was Samson 5th? I'm gonna look, because it's been like
it might have been Brett Wilkins.
And then
they were very close. Like, it was very, very close. I'm just thinking how they were standing. I think Samson was.
I thought Samson moved into 4th.
No.
And behind Kuklo.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Yeah, Justin was definitely 4th, then Samson, then Brett.
Yeah, I got the photo here. They got them standing on stage.
Okay.
In that order. So.
Yeah, but Brett, I feel like the one thing I wanted to mention was I don't know how to word this, but the unfair disadvantage Brett had coming in by everyone assuming he was going to win and like pushing it through. I kind of feel like, and I hate to say unfair, because always it's great to have fans thinking you're going to win, but I think that we definitely, he was 4th. Was he really?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, he was 4th. And then Justin
that's right, 'cause he moved
Justin
back.
was 5th. Yeah, Justin was
that
5th
one did
because he went
surprise
on
me,
the
right.
other side of Kuklo. Yeah.
But I did think that it was a little
awesome.
bit like a disadvantage, because all of a sudden 6th to a lot of people seemed like surprising in a bad way.
Yeah.
Forgetting how stacked that lineup is, and that it's his second open pro show. Like, I thought he looked wild. It's just, it was phenomenal. I just think that we almost, and I say I was guilty of this too, is because someone came out and won the Arnold in their first shot, you're kind of like, oh, it can be done. Whereas a year ago, when people were like, oh, Nick Walker's going to win the Arnold, I'm like, oh, fuck, he is.
Yeah.
You know, and then he comes and stomps him. And then a year later, I'm like, well, Brett could win, you know, and kind of, you know, put him right past some of the best that have been in the game for a decade.
Yeah.
So I thought he was phenomenal. And I'm stoked that the fans didn't, not that they didn't react well, but just that it's definitely a reminder that it takes time. You know, I mean, because you could see, as good as he was, you're talking about a decade longer for some of these guys, or longer, of actual bodybuilding. I mean, he was doing physique or classic 17 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And now he's a freak open, getting 6th at the Arnold. I was actually really impressed with him. I just wish that in hindsight it would have been more of a shock that he got 6th than a positive than we thought he was going to get 2nd. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There's also, I did look at the scores now. I remember now. Justin and Samson were the two guys that changed the most, I think, between prejudging and finals.
I could see that.
Someone was only a point different. I can't remember who it was. Like, one of the two guys.
But Samson, after prejudging, I think Samson was like, you know, at the back of that call out or whatever at the end of prejudging, but he moved up, and then Justin fell a bit. I can't remember what the numbers were, but it was really good show, you know. Killer Arnold. And the Expo was really like I had a lot of fun at the Expo because it wasn't crazy like nuts like it normally is.
Yeah.
And the booths were spread out a little bit more because it wasn't totally sold like they did a great job. It looked full, it felt full. It was a really good Expo, but it wasn't like the Arnold before where you're like, this whole place is a fire hazard.
Yeah.
Like like when it get to the point where the fire department, I don't know if you've seen that, but there's been a couple Arnolds where the fire department is like telling booths like, we might have to shut you down.
Yeah.
Like I remember Rob and Dana one year, their booth caused such a crazy backup at the Arnold that the fire department was like, we might have to close this booth.
Holy
because
crap.
this is like dangerous. There's too many people. People can't move,
Yeah.
So they came by our booth when the slap fights were going on, because when the slap fights were going on, oh, you guys, this fucking slap fight thing. So it was happening. It was happening right in front of our booth. We had the best booth because we were the title sponsor. So we had the prime real estate right on the corner, right in front of the stage. So I watched like the classic prejudging and everything, right?
Yeah.
But the slap fights were up there, and when the slap fights started, the whole Expo came over. So the whole area. So our booth was literally shut down for like an hour. Like
they were in with us.
We just, me and Dusty just like leaned on a table and watched the slap fights because no one could get to the booth. It was completely enclosed, wrapped in people.
Huh.
So everyone just stopped what they were doing and watched the slap fights for an hour. It was pretty funny, actually. What a fucking weird thing to see at the Expo. The funny thing was how Arnold was up on stage, like commentating.
Was he really?
Like he's like sitting there, like they'd have a match, and then they'd like put the mic in front of Arnold,
Huh.
And I don't know what he's saying because I couldn't hear, like it was too noisy, but it was just funny. I don't know if he's saying like, "Oh, good form on that," or I don't know what he's saying.
Did you guys get to do any training while you were out there in Columbus? How'd that go?
The training was phenomenal. So I woke up every day and did not go to the gym and ate breakfast.
Okay.
Every day.
Okay.
I didn't train for 4 days. It was funny. Ron and I didn't even discuss it.
It just didn't happen.
It was just pure. We both knew that this shit was not happening.
Yeah.
It was so busy. Like no words were even needed to say we are not waking up at 6 a.m. to go train.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after the Expo, there was no time because we were booked like immediately for either the team dinner. We went to the show. And then obviously Sunday was straight. I literally left the Expo early to get to the airport. So it's the first year though that I didn't even consider going to the gym. It wasn't a thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Old and retired, I guess.
I trained legs on Thursday because I was already there. I got there Tuesday to shoot at American Barbell. So I shot on Wednesday with Mutant and trained chest. And then I trained legs on Thursday at the the old powerhouse downtown, the pro gym or whatever they call it now, the pros gym. Yeah. And I trained legs there, and it was so busy, man. It was like Expo Thursday, right? It was so fucking busy. I could hardly train legs. Like I couldn't get a leg press. I never did get a leg press. I couldn't get the normal leg extension. I couldn't get it. I tried to get it like the whole workout. I had to use the single leg. They had like a single leg there. And I used the same leg curl machine for like five or six hard sets because I could only get the one leg curl. It was just really fucking crowded. So I didn't even bother. We didn't even talk about it. And then Sunday night at like 10 p.m., I went downstairs in the hotel gym and I did like a shoulder arm blast. I did like 20 sets of laterals and a fucking arm superset for like 30 minutes and just got a crazy pump. And then I went to bed. That was it. So
you want to look full.
Dusty was already home by then. Yeah.
Well, my flight was fucked again. So I don't know what it is, but just, do not fly American under any circumstance. I tried to dodge them on the trip, but I had to take them home. It was just the only option to get back. And I had a 2-hour layover. So I knew I had plenty of time. I'd make my flight, and my flight still left an hour and a half late.
Damn.
This fucking airline. So, but I ordered a shit ton of food at one of those restaurants there. So I spent like $120 eating dinner at the airport. So we're good.
Oh, God.
Good. That's just like 2 items, of course, at an airport, $120.
Yeah.
So here's my curiosity, and we have to do this now. Then who wins the Boston show this weekend? because it's sliding right over. I think Kuklow's not doing it. Brandon's not doing it, but I think William is, right?
I heard Kuklo was
have the-
doing it. He just wasn't on the
Oh, is
list.
he? It wasn't on the list. Okay. So I think that's going to be real interesting. Like, I feel bad for the guys who jumped into Boston real quick and didn't realize they were doing the Arnold
Yeah.
just a week later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they get the Arnold cool down round. I have just a feeling Kuklo's due here to make a jump, I think. I don't think, now correct me if I'm wrong, but you got to say, I remember someone said it to me once. If you compete long enough, there's going to be a show where you get blatantly fucked. And then there's going to be a show where you get a real gift that you just like don't understand. So
Right.
I'm just wondering, has Kuklo ever had a free show? Like
No.
a lot of
Well,
bodybuilders
well,
have had
no,
the
he
one
won
show
the
that did he ever
he
win a
beat
show that was like,
Bayeki.
what the fuck?
Remember when he beat Bayeki at like the Arnold Spain or
Arnold
one of those? I
Brazil?
can't remember which one it was. Yeah, he won one where, and it was almost like the show, and I hate to say it like this, but at this point in life I can say it. It's like the show that ended the Bayeki that we were all waiting for. Because like he was kind of the
Really?
blatant winner. It's funny. I don't even. This is classy. You said that. I didn't remember that. Someone posted it, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's right." I can't remember
Well,
what
he's
year it
due
was.
for he might be due for another like close call that goes his way. I just feel like
Well, I don't
Steve is
think
like
at this point I don't think at this point it would be a gift. He's just so good. I think he'll improve on last week, and that would be scary because he was, like you said, he was bonkers when he came out. We were like, "Ooh, he's fucking."
I also
big.
gotta
like.
I gotta go out of my way. I gotta go out of my way to mention this too. I got a few notes from the weekend, so I'm just gonna do these notes real quick.
Yes,
we got to say hi. I said that we would say hi, so we got to say hi to Taryn and Hannah from Zanesville, Ohio. And Taryn and Hannah were these very specific. They were these great fans of the show that we talked to at the booth. And Dusty and I we said, there's way more girls coming up to us than we expected. Because, what do you tell us? Our stats say YouTube is like, what, 2% female?
Yeah, YouTube says like 0 or something. And I know it's more than that, but YouTube is
that's
like
why it's funny.
1, where there's 1 girl for every 10,000 males
right.
that are watching the show.
We met like 30 of them this weekend.
Hell yeah, that was all our female listeners then. That was all of them.
That's all of them. Yeah. We literally met every single one of them.
No, that's cool.
So we thought statistically there has to be a lot of ladies signed in on their guys' YouTube. Right?
We came up with a whole theory, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we met far too many ladies that watch the show. I was walking back from the gym. I'm just on the street Thursday after legs. Nobody on the sidewalk. Chris Aceto's walking towards me.
Oh, no kidding.
So I stop and talk to Chris right in the middle of the street. There's no one around. He's on his way to the gym to take a look at somebody. And we're standing there laughing and talking, and these 4 girls walk by. And they walk by and they kind of look at me and I give them a nod. And then they keep walking and I keep talking to Chris, and then they come back. And they're like, you're Ron. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we watch a show. I want to take a photo with you.
Yes.
So Chris takes our picture. It was so funny because I was bugging Chris. I was like, do you want to follow me around and take pictures all weekend? And he's like, And so Aceto takes the picture. I don't think they knew who he was too. I don't think they knew Aceto.
We got to get him back on. We need him here.
So that was a moment that I enjoyed because I looked like a stud in front of Chris. I thought that was pretty funny.
It's good.
So that was one of my highlights. But so anyways, I'm looking at the notes. Back to Kuklo. I fucking loved his music.
Yes.
Now, you guys couldn't hear his music on the live stream, right? Because they got to pump in some bullshit music. Isn't that what they do?
I think it was on there. I had it turned down, so I'm not sure. But I think they had the music on there. Yeah.
So anyways, my point is there was a bunch of amazing posing routines at the final. And I thought that I kind of felt like maybe I hadn't noticed it happening, but I felt like the men's open posing leveled up.
Yeah.
Like it's it's gotten a lot better. Like, you know, the age of just not having anything and just winging it and not really doing any artistic shots. And like, I was just like, wow, I don't, maybe I just hadn't watched a finals in person in so long. Like, it's been a couple years. But I mean, Brandon came out and he posed to a really slow, beautiful version of Eye of the Tiger. And he's just an amazing poser. And then Bonac used this really cool mix of In the Air Tonight.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, I did hear that.
But he had Muhammad Ali and Arnold quotes popping off in the background.
Yeah, but it was like their voices too. Yeah.
Their voices. Yeah, it was just awesome. And then Samson posed to Creed. He had a mix of stuff, but I think he had a mix of stuff. But there was a Creed song, and he started doing like Lavrone tribute stuff. And he did the side, the most muscular to the side, you know, that lunging most muscular when that Creed song hit. And it was like fucking awesome. And everybody like fucking popped because they knew what it was. But then Kuklo comes out and he's got this version of, so I hear the Zeppelin Whole Lot of Love guitar riff, but it's War Pigs by Black Sabbath, but with Whole Lot of Love from Zeppelin like mixed on top of it because they're at the same tempo of song. So it was like this fucking awesome mix. And then, you know, he sort of, the song would fade to more War Pigs and Ozzy's voice you'd hear Ozzy's voice.
Yeah.
And then it would fade to the Zeppelin side and you'd hear Robert Plant's voice. And it was going back and forth, and it was fucking, like, I really fucking liked it. It was a pleasant surprise to see so much effort put into the men's finals posing for the Open. I thought that everyone brought like a really great routine, and yeah, man, I had a good time watching everybody. You know, maybe it's the classic guys now are like forcing the hand of the Open division. Maybe they see like those guys, they see Terrence Ruffins and they're like, fuck, I gotta step this up.
Yeah.
Making me look bad.
You should have seen those, Scott, because as the music is going, I see Ron's head.
He was into it, huh?
Getting into it. And then he looks at me and he goes,
this is
you know what that is? And I'm like, no. And he's like breaking it down to us exactly what's happening. And I'm like, oh, now I hear it. Like, because I was just watching. Like, I'm such a dumbass. I'm literally just watching his routine and hearing music. Yeah. And Ron's like breaking down the music, and I'm like, oh, okay, there we go. Only
like,
Ron.
This is War Pigs. This is War Pigs mixed with Whole Lot of Love. Like, this is unbelievable.
Though. We were like 10 seconds into it when he's calling this shit out.
And it was awesome because it's like, you know, it's in stereo, right? So like Jimmy Page's guitar was coming from the left side of the stage, the Whole Lot of Love riff, but then the War Pigs riff was coming the right side of the stage. And I was like, oh, this is vicious. This is vicious. I love it. I even sent message to Steve. I was like, dude, who did that mix? So we'll see what he says. But that was just a highlight for me. I was having a blast. Dusty was just laughing. He's like, yeah, I don't care.
Typical, because of course he knows this shit. I mean, it was funny because I laughed because I'm not kidding, Scott. We were maybe 15, 20 seconds in. Yeah. And he's giving me the full breakdown of what's happening because he knows I have no fucking idea.
Like, look, that's Paige, and that's Tommy Iommi. We're coming out.
I remember in this video he was using the pink guitar. Nuts. You remember that? I'm like, no.
Now, this may be a related note. It may not. It may be a related note. You asked the audience. You said, if anybody's going to be in Columbus, I'm hoping to get some weed. Did this happen? And did this have anything to do with your appreciation for the music?
No. I picked that. No, the music is 1,000%.
We did happen, for the record.
I was definitely helped out more than once.
Okay.
So I mean, did you see my pictures?
The weed happened. The gummies happened.
Oh God,
things were good.
Yeah. Look who I was with. Look what was happening.
Pay attention to the group.
Pay attention to the group. Read the room.
I don't know. There are a few people in that group that actually can't function without. So
I don't know exactly what's happening in our comments here, but Chris said Aceto looked so damn awesome in his bodybuilding days. And Gareth followed that up with this. He says, Aceto now looks like somebody in the witness protection program. I don't know what that is, but it's funny.
It's true, actually.
Well, Aceto likes to blend in. He definitely likes to just blend in. He doesn't want to, like, you know, Doesn't want to wear weird fucking goofy shit and stand out.
Yeah.
He's just gonna, yeah, that's Aceto. Aceto.
Oh God,
Could
I
be
just
could be like
opened up these
Aceto could be
questions.
Walter White though, and you'd never know.
That's true too.
What's that, Dusty?
There it was. I was just reading the questions now. I'm now.
So I had a bunch
Juan
of questions
Morel.
from a question box.
That's it. It was Juan Morel. This guy said that's right. That should have won the Arnold Brazil. Okay.
Yeah.
See, look at this.
So
This
that's
is why I need these people.
2013.
See, there it
there
was.
you go.
yeah.
See,
There you go. See, I knew there was that. You knew there was that one. You knew there was that one. Vic knows. Okay, well there you go.
See, I need these people because I don't remember shit. There's a lot of drugs in my life. That's classic. See, I didn't have the right people in it. How do you like that?
So
Well,
you want
don't
me to
worry,
hammer through
everybody,
a
because
few-
Juan Morel's winning life now because he's making millions, so we're good.
There you go. There we go. Do we want to go through some of these questions or pick them off
Yes.
this board? I mean, we've already missed a bunch, but I got a bunch here that are really good.
Cool. Yeah, we
We'll get
should.
some of these too.
Yeah, I
because they're
highlighted
livers.
the.
We got to get the livers.
I highlighted the
I,
people.
I
here.
agree. Jacob, Samson with 10 more pounds on shape, top 3 Olympian. I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely think he could be. He could grow into be Olympia, I think. I mean, he was wild in person. I've never seen him in person. I thought Samson was nuts. So
Right.
with some time, I don't think people really like he's a big man with like a tiny waist. I mean, how tall is he? He's a big fucking dude.
He
Who,
didn't look.
Samson?
Oh, let's see.
He didn't look
Yeah, I thought
short
he was
next
pretty
to Steve.
He's got to be like 5'11" right in there, 6
Yeah,
foot. And
yeah,
like,
because I hung out with Samson a bit on Thursday night. Or was it Wednesday night? I think it was Wednesday night. I hung out a bit with Samson, and yeah, I had never met him, but I knew he was super dry when he walked up because I was hanging out with Fuad and Paul, and we were waiting for Samson to come because Fuad was going to interview him. And when Samson walked up, he had a t-shirt on, but his forearms, he looked like he was like drier than dry. You know, when you see someone's forearms and you're like, oh, this guy's in shape.
Yeah.
I just knew immediately. And then another thing was he didn't look that heavy, right? But then Fuad told me he was like 270. And I was like, what? So I knew if he looks lighter than like that much lighter than he is, then you know he's dense and fucking packed, right? You know what I mean? It's like dark star matter, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him train. How does he train? Is he like a volume guy? Is
well,
he
he's British.
heavy? I mean, so I assume he trains heavy as fuck. That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. He trains hard. You could tell by how he looks. But
it's just granite.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was good, man. Funniest moment of the Arnold weekend. I gotta ask that one. What was your funniest moment, Dusty? Do you remember?
Oh God. Well, I wouldn't say the funniest, but a moment that I had at the booth that was a little shocking is I had these two guys like chatting it up with me, and I didn't realize they were shaking me down the whole time. And they're like, "Oh, how tall are you?" And I was like, "I don't know, 5'10". He's like, "What do you weigh right now?" And I said, I was like low 290s, 293 or something today. And all of a sudden he pulls out a tape measure. He goes, "You mind if I measure you?" And I was
You're
like,
kidding me.
"Swear to God, it'll be on the internet somewhere, I'm sure, because they were filming it." I'm like, "Go ahead." And I was 5'10" and a half, so apparently I got taller, which is nice. And then I step on the scale and I was 293. But I just thought to myself, like, I get it, but kind of douchey, because I know we all know bodybuilders lie about their weight and height and stuff, but I thought it was kind of funny because I'm like, this is odd. And I mean, I didn't mind. I even told the guy, I was like, "You thought I was gonna fucking lie? Like, I'm a 40-year-old man. I don't give a shit." Like, it's very simple.
That's
I was
funny.
230 7 months ago, but yeah, it was really weird. I mean, they literally pulled out a scale. He's like, "You mind stepping on the scale?" And I'm like, "Sure. I already know what I weigh, so go ahead." But it was very funny, and I found out that they do this, and some guys get pissed off with them for it. And I'm like, well, I think it's the way you undercover it that makes it why they react weird, because you're trying to like bust people out. But
Yeah.
it was interesting
Right.
to say the least. I was like, I don't mind. doing it,
Right.
but it was
I saw you talking to those guys, and they never even bothered talking to me. I must not look like much of a pro anymore. So, but they definitely got dusty. But the funny thing is if they would have done me, I probably would have underweighed myself. because
Yeah.
I would have given them my at-home number, and I'm at the Expo eating burgers. So I would have probably been the only guy that came in underweight.
Yeah, you're 10 pounds heavier than that, fatty.
Yeah.
I didn't
My
see
funniest moment of the weekend was Justin Shire told a story about shitting his pants at the airport. And
oh God,
it was the funniest fucking story. He had the whole room. We were all in Ben Chow's hotel room watching the UFC fights.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, like, honestly, man, bro chat is real. Bro chat is real. Like, they don't get together and go, hey, okay, we're going to talk about ridiculous shit. That's just what happens. Like, so we're in the hotel room and we're telling shit in your pants stories. It's just naturally what happens around those guys. And Justin Shire tells us shitting his pants at the airport story that just kills the room. Like, it was fucking hilarious, that guy. They were holding the plane for him.
Oh my God.
His wife was holding the plane. And he was like cleaning himself up in the fucking amazing story. So I talked to Justin. We're going to have him on the show, and we definitely have to get him to tell maybe that story. Get another better one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. Definitely a highlight. So I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of Dusty's weight, I didn't see this yet, but you were on Muscle in the Morning. Did you know that? You were on Dave Palumbo's, RX Muscle. Something about Victoria told me. She saw it in her feed, and she was like, hey, I'm doing my research for you. I haven't watched it yet, but you're on RX Muscle. Something about like that you were pushing your weight back up type thing. I don't know.
Look at this. Good wife material just out there.
I know.
She's doing business.
She is, yeah.
Isn't it crazy that like back in the day I would have known that, and now I'm like, oh, cool.
That's cool.
No idea.
Wait, Dave who? I don't even watch this stuff.
Wait, what?
my take,
I suck at consuming.
My take is if they're talking about Dusty, that's a slow news day.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's guys actually still doing this shit.
Like when you watch
the Arnold just ended, you had nothing else.
Yeah,
that's when you're right. They toss in that's like in the news where they tell you all this bad shit. They go, but don't worry, an 80-year-old had a great birthday party today, and you're like, what? I don't care. Yeah. They're like, we just had to throw something positive in there about the old people. I'm like, oh, that's me.
We need filler. We need filler.
32 extra seconds to fill. What are we going to do? What else do we have for questions? Okay, there we go. Morgan Mack handling us as well.
Oh, Morgan Mack's watching. I haven't been. So I had the comment box closed for a while. I wasn't even realize.
How about this one? Because I kind of went through. I can highlight the questions. So I've been trying to highlight the questions versus just the comments. Justin said, not to jump the gun, but how do you think Nick Walker would have placed had he competed this year at the Arnold?
So I saw Nick backstage because he was handing out awards too.
Looked huge.
And I had never, and I don't think I've actually met Nick until that moment. Like I went up and talked to him, and I was trying to remember, like, did I meet a young Nick Walker in 2019 at the Expo? I don't even fucking remember, but definitely meeting now. And so we talked for a bit, and I just said, how's it feel to be watching the show? And he just looked at me and he goes, well, I'm supposed to be in it.
Right.
And I was like, he really fucking wanted to do this show, And real good guy. We only chatted for a second. And then I was with Fuad when with Fuad and Paul and those guys, we were walking over to the other hotel to watch the fights, and Nick came up on the street corner. And so I realized right then that him and Fuad had never met. Because Fuad and him walk up to one another and they're like, we finally meet.
No kidding.
We finally meet. And they like gave a handshake and like a hug, and they took a picture. And I was like, oh, they actually just met today. Like, that's funny. Because, we all just assume that everyone's, but no, they haven't been, Fuad hasn't been traveling. So It was, it was pretty cool. But anyways, Nick obviously wanted to do the show. So I just thought I'd throw that in. But I mean, Nick didn't beat Brandon at the O. Right.
Right.
So, he would have had to contend with Brandon. So that would have been very interesting, but we'll see.
Was this a better Brandon at the Arnold or not?
Well, I wasn't at the Olympia, right? So now I'm trying to remember, like, you know,
That's what
trying to compare the
I
pictures.
feel like. I guess my hint was he definitely wasn't blatantly better because I didn't feel that.
No.
But we also did say none of us would have had a problem if Brandon won the Olympia. Um, so that's tough. I mean, I think you really do have to see because Nick, in my opinion, I know he hasn't competed, but Nick has absolutely improved since the Arnold last year,
Yeah.
and since
Right.
the Olympia. So
Yeah.
if here's what I'll say, and this is bold, but if I had to bet money on it and Nick came in, then I do think that he would have a chance of taking it away. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not
well, you
nervous to say
can't
that.
count
Plus,
them
he
out
has a
ever.
different mindset right now. Um, I- Nick has a scary mind because I really
Yeah.
do think he believes in his soul he's winning the Olympia this year. And when you have that belief, that's something to contend with. And when you're genetically a freak, I mean, if somebody said to me, "Are you willing to bet a large amount of money that Nick Walker will not win the Olympia?" I'd say absolutely not. I'm not betting against him. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't see anyone's trajectory higher than his right now, you know, as far as improving. So, you know, yeah, if I had to put a bet that he could have won the Arnold, I guess I would say possibly. You know, wouldn't shock me if he won
Yeah, I'd
again, even in
agree.
this lineup.
No, with a guy like that who's improving, and yeah, I would never count him out of winning any show at this point.
Hmm.
You know?
For sure.
What about this one? Did anyone make you guys feel like a fanboy when you met them? Last 5 minute crew.
We know all these people.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
no moment in a bodybuilding expo or show where you guys are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I met this," something like that.
No.
No,
And
like I said, the closest that the closest that I've been to being like starstruck
Yeah.
in like decades was on, and I've already met Arnold twice. So I've met Arnold, gotten photos with him twice, but on stage in the moment with so much going on, I was like, holy fuck, Arnold's standing beside me. And I was like shaking his hand. I was pretty nervous that like I was a little bit of a mess when that was all going on. But I don't know if that was just because of the moment with everything and not just because it was Arnold, it was just like, I just kind of got a little bit like a little nervous.
I think
It's
that was the
funny.
moment though, because if you were set, like if when we went to lunch, if he'd have walked in on that thing, it would have been like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
For
don't
sure.
get that way with anyone though. I've had weird history of running into a lot of people. I think the only thing that I will say from all the way from being a kid is meeting famous people or athletes or something. The one thing I learned when I was a kid was that people remember, because I remember the athletes that like dropped everything to say hello to a 12-year-old kid, and the ones that were like, fuck off, kid, I got shit to do.
Yeah.
But but other than that, like, yeah, definitely no starstruck. But I do, and it's funny, but I more enjoy seeing our friends, because just like Ron said, I mean, I was probably most excited to see Ron and the crew, because I hadn't seen Ron since 2019, Scott.
No kidding.
You
Yeah,
forget
I
that
guess
when
that
you
makes
see somebody
sense.
every day or every week, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
The Olympia 2019 is the last time I saw Ron. So, that's the more drastic stuff for us. What else we got?
You want me to keep going down the list we
Yeah,
got right
yeah,
here?
sure.
Oh,
You
Yeah,
okay.
blast
good.
them up.
All right, cool. We got a bunch of
We
them.
want to reward the live people, right? Well, I got a bunch. If you need to come to me, I got one. But
All right, we've got a bunch here. Yeah, this one. So we got a training question here. Actually, we had a few training questions. How about this one? I always hear Ron and Dusty talking about 4 days a week training. What was your go-to split 4 days a week for all those years? From Max.
Go ahead, Ron.
mine was the Dorian split. It was right out of the magazine. And then when I got the blood and guts video and I watched it for the first time, I realized that the magazine was 100% correct. And I'd been doing exactly that for like a while already. And that was chest, biceps, quads, hams, day off, delts, triceps, back and calves, day off. So that was a split that and then sometimes 2 days off after the back and calves. So I actually structured it like a 2 on 1 off, 2 on 2 off. Or I'd put the second off day, I'd put the 2 off days after legs. So I'd go, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday off. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then there was a while where I moved legs from Friday to Saturday. So it was Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So it's 4 days a week. But I trained like that for like pretty much 10 years.
Yeah, I trained, it was truly a push-pull leg. So chest, shoulders, tries, back and buys, separate day, and then legs were a separate day. And I would finish the entire body in 3 days and start the rotation again on the 4th day. So it was Monday, Tuesday off, Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday off, Saturday, Sunday. So basically whatever you hit on Monday was also hit on Friday each week, but a different set of movements. Right. So the whole idea behind Dante's program is the volume per workout is down, but the number of times you hit each muscle per month is up from the traditional bro split of 5 days a week. Everything gets hit once a week.
Oh, speaking of Dante, we had some Dante questions. Dante Trudell chimed in on our feed here. He says, with Ron's multitude of injuries, has Ron ever torn a glute sitting down in his chair for the podcast? Here, I expect Dante to have like some sort of big, deep question for you, Ron.
Yes. There's been no glute tears yet. The connections are all holding true so far.
Okay.
It's a very comfortable chair.
Happy to say. Yes. Is that what I'm known for? Am I known for having a multitude of injuries? I really only had the one major injury.
We knew about the quad. That was the big one.
It's not really that you had a multitude, but you always mention them because you're always talking about training around.
Yeah. Well, it's because they all added up. They all added up to create the mess I'm in. But I only really had the one major like surgery, incident.
Yes.
Okay. What's this one?
This is another one from Dante. This one's for Dusty. He says, how many times has Dusty said, "Oh Christ," when viewing rack chin videos that are a upside down plank / bent over row with body weight?
Oh, because they're not hanging, like they've got their body.
So here's what's painful about this is, okay, number one, I've posted videos, but I actually at one point posted a video with Dante's exact explanation of the movement.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that your body stays in an L is the whole idea. You know what I'm saying? Because once you lean back, you're doing like a really light ass row.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy because I'll post. So at one point, and this is why he's giving me shit. At one point, I posted a video with the explanation. And then he and I both got tagged in like 6 or 7 rack chin videos that were absolutely horrific that week. And I didn't know what to do because I'm not going to reshare them. And I also never want to like publicly go on someone's page when they're being cool and be like, that was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So I would send them to him and I'm like, I guess I'm going to DM him and be like, I appreciate you doing this, but can you read? So yeah, but you know what else is funny about that, Scott, is I've got a couple clients who were not the most athletic and like they couldn't do a fucking lateral raise to save their lives, like personal training clients back in the day. And I mean, I'd spend months trying to get them to do like a lateral raise properly. And I'd set them in for a rack chin, which is actually difficult. And they just do it flawlessly. And I'm like,
no kidding.
Why can't you do a lateral? Like I'm mad at them even more now about the lateral raise because they can do that.
Yeah.
What else we got? We got more in here. Should we jump into the
how about now? You guys probably don't see this end of things. Curious as to how drastically the free supplement game declined this year.
This is a great topic. This is a great topic. We talked about this sort of stuff all weekend.
Yeah.
Expos have transformed from what they used to be. We talked about this with like the management team and other athletes and other management guys from other teams. When I'd walk over to booths, it was like #1 topic. They'd go, wow, like, really changing, So I remember when I first started doing all the expos with Mutant, it was like 2011 and 12, we kicked into gear. A lot of the booths were like bars. Like they would literally drop a bar where there was like all these servings of everything, right? And you could try every flavor and sample the shit out of everything. And it was all about getting the product into the consumer's mouth. And and they would just have people working those booths, right? Like, you know, fit people, they'd probably get, you know, their local fitness people that were kind of sponsored for free product or whatever, you know, to like work the booth. Maybe if they had an athlete, they would bring the athletes in, but it wasn't like the main focus of the booth. But that's just not what this is about anymore. And then other booths would be like a store. So they'd drop like a store on the floor.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd walk in and they'd have like, you could buy 5 pounders of protein and all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, they had the FedEx set up in the corner. So you'd take everything you bought, you'd walk it over to the FedEx booth and you'd ship it back to yourself.
Ooh, okay.
And then you wouldn't have to pack it back or whatever. So I remember they got to the point where they had that. But now that's not what it's about at all. The entire expo is finally only about this.
No kidding.
That is the entire expo. It's about the experience at the booth, the influencer, the social media person, the slash bodybuilder slash whatever they have, engaging with the fans and creating content and that sort of stuff. I just don't think people do this anymore for a giant bag full of single serving samples. Like, you know, the giant bag game has even changed. Like, you used to see everyone had a giant bag stuffed full of free shit. But now, like, most people are walking around the expo with no bag at all.
Check
Just
this
walking
out.
around.
True.
This came up in my memories. This is from 11 years ago. This is my loot from 11 years ago at the Arnold, 2011. A lot of shit.
So
now,
now,
a lot of super pump in
you got to
there.
remember too, though, that now even the fan, so to speak, the spectator, is working. A lot of those people are doing their social media while they're there.
Yeah.
And they don't want to just be bogged down picking up shit and carrying it out of there.
Huh.
They're literally coming up. We had people filming us and doing an interview or doing whatever they were doing for their social while they were there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's a cool thing because, you know, some of the more, I mean, there are a few guys that I recognize from being there for years. Some of the really popular influencers are there on their own dime, just walking the Arnold and doing what they do.
That's what I've done.
You know?
Yeah. And the reason they don't need to sell stuff at the booth anymore is because everyone has a straight to consumer website now. So you don't need to go to the BSN booth and buy a 5 pounders to stock up. You just go to the smaller BSN booth. You get maybe one single sample stapled to a card that has a 30% off code. And then when you get home, you go to the website and you order something and you get 30% off and a bunch of free samples get thrown in the box.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to carry all that shit. They don't have to fucking, you know, it's just streamlining everything, like less hassle.
Yeah.
Like our mutant booth is so streamlined now. Like there's not much at the booth. We got some shirts. We got some we'll have like some, you know, all in because that's the big product we're pushing now. And there's we had the mass challenge where you hold the bags out and, you know, you compete for prizes. And that was lined up the entire time. Like it never, ever stopped. It was so popular. People love that game.
Yeah.
And the people that won it, we gave them like great prizes. And they're just like, they come back to the booth to get their prize at the end of the day when you text them, you know, and they're just fucking so happy. They can't, you know, it was pretty awesome. But it's all about the experience. It's all about the experience at the booth, you know.
That's cool.
So it's interesting how times have changed. You know, some people asked, I had a question here. It was, you know, do you think that next year's Arnold will be even worse, was how they worded it.
Huh.
And I'm like, no, this was a great warm-up year coming back out of what we just went through. A lot of companies sat out because they're like, oh, we'll just see what happens. But it was totally worth it for us. It was fucking fantastic to be like totally worth it.
I was shocked in
And
the
next
opposite
year-
direction. I'm surprised people would say worse. I mean, we were stunned at how good it was. I was like, this is basic.
Yeah, I was
Like,
expecting it to be
you know.
quieter and smaller.
Yep.
You know?
That's cool to hear. I'm glad to hear that. That gives me hope because it's under basically new management now, and
They
things
killed
are,
it.
things are going to change. So I'm glad to hear they're
that
on their way.
management.
They killed it.
I feel like that management slayed it. Like,
Yeah.
they can't control how many people came
Yeah.
or how many people sat this out, but it was streamlined. It was smooth. It was smooth for us getting in and out, getting our badges. The fans were all happy.
Yeah.
I would guess, Scott, that next year's Arnold would be what it was in 2019.
Cool.
I think it's gonna be slammed. It'll be
Unless I get
nuts,
married
because
again,
So
I'll be there.
if I was, well,
So
you better
Dusty
not,
and
'cause that
I-
would mean something weird.
So
were you
Dusty
saying,
and
Ron?
I spent some time when Dusty and I went to the VIP lunch, because we had to go to the VIP lunch and rub elbows with all the VIPs and executives and stuff.
Look at they still came
least
back to
that's
talk
how
to
it
us,
comes
on
guys.
how we got there.
Yeah. So we went to the VIP lunch on Sunday, and Brian Powers was there, and he's like, I don't want to give him the wrong title, but he's like the executive director, or it's like big league. He's like runs
He
the
runs
show.
that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he runs that shit. And he was the coolest dude, and he chatted with us forever. And I'd talked to him a few nights earlier because he came up to talk to Fuad about commentating, so I'd already met him. So anyways, he talked to us for a while, and he's not from the bodybuilding world, right? This is why the Expo is going to be stepping up,
Okay.
because they went outside the bodybuilding world, and they got this guy and his team, and they're from the Comic-Con world.
Oh, okay.
And he's
Think
like,
about how small
he's
our
like-
expos are compared to that.
Yeah.
yeah. He's like things are gonna change. He's like, we've been doing Comic-Cons all around the world for a while, and we
Yeah.
know what we're doing, and this is gonna be different. Like,
That's cool.
We're gonna be, this is a rocket ship. These expos are gonna be, there's a lot of room to grow this and make it amazing. So expect the Arnold Expo to get like visually and like sensory overload, and more to see and do, and more famous people, and more variety of famous people too.
Huh.
You know, like,
I felt
You know,
like
just
with
think,
him, he even that day, because this was Sunday at like noon, 1 o'clock, he was already analyzing changes and what they were going to do. He was like talking out, like thinking out loud with us about some of the things they did this year, analyzing what they might do in the future. I was like, this guy does not fuck around. Like,
no, like
he
he
was
even
already
said
thinking.
when we were, yeah, when we were sitting, he's like, he goes, why did you start working out? And I go, well, you know, Conan, comic books, you know, that sort of stuff. And David Bay was with him when the first night I met him. And then he goes, yeah, I mean, you know, guys your age. He goes, how old are you? And I go, 46. He goes, exactly. He goes, would you go to a booth that had Stallone and Dolph Lundgren at it with Rocky IV posters and get your fucking picture with them?
Right.
And I go, God damn, I would. And he goes, yep, that's exactly right. Why aren't Stallone and Dolph Lundgren here at a booth? And he goes, what about the crew from Marvel movies? They're superheroes. What if they're here? Like, there's so much possibility. And I'm like, holy fuck, you know? And then David Bay said he was trying to get Van Damme and Bolo Young from Bloodsport.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Greatest movie.
You know? Yeah. So anyways, that's the type of stuff they're thinking, right?
I can see that
So
because
I'm excited.
they stepped it up with the live stream too, because we didn't know who that guy was. You guys probably didn't see it, but they're on the live stream. They had a guy who was like an anchor, and he was holding it all together. And so they had all the personalities, you know, Janet and Fuad, and, you know, DJ and everybody else. But then this guy was running the show, so we looked him up, and he is a sports newscaster. He does like the Olympics and stuff like that. So he knew how to like pull it together. He knew how to throw things to Fuad, you know, and they needed that, you know, instead of just having the great personalities, they needed to have somebody who could kind of anchor the thing. And I think that in itself was a huge step up. So I could see how they did the same thing with the Expo too. That's cool.
Which is what you do
Yeah,
on
it
this
was-
show, Scott.
Yeah, there you go.
Up next, we've got a question from, we actually do.
See?
Who's this? I don't even know what it is. I just grabbed all of them. Question, another training question. Do you suggest a regular order to how I train bis and brachialis? Like, should I always do hammer curls first, last, reverse curls? Does it not matter so much? Dr. Phil.
So I like this question because I've read stuff specifically about this type of strategy for training. Like, So like I said, I'm very interested. So I've read stuff that says that technically, if you do your hammer curls first, or this applies to your whole body, but biceps and brachialis are like, they work together. So it applies to them.
Yeah.
If you do the brachialis first, your hammer curls first and exhaust that muscle, then technically when you do your bicep curls with your hand supinated, primarily loading the biceps and kind of taking some brachialis away from it.
Yeah.
Your body will send more neural energy through the bicep to make up for the fact that brachialis is tired.
Right.
So there's actually more neural drive through your bicep. And if you have activation problems, that actually means better activation. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. So if someone's having a hard time with their biceps, then the strategy would be to do the hammer curls first and exhaust the brachialis so that it doesn't help. You know what I mean? And there's people use that strategy for, other areas of their body as well. But it's not very commonly used. Like, think about it. That would mean like, technically if you did, triceps first and then train chest, you'd be sending more neural drive to your pecs to make up for your weak triceps. But not many people employ that strategy, right? Because it would be a real ego destroyer.
Yeah, I was going to say, because now you're doing 185 on the incline.
Right. And then does it actually mathematically mean more overload because of the neural drive, or is the math just now so much less weight?
I feel like with a muscle like that, the math would get thrown off because you're just not
who's
pushing the
question,
same.
Right? I'm just spitballing as to whether that's something that actually pays off in the end or not, right? Because theoretically is one thing, but then whether it actually pays off is another. So I don't know. I don't have the answer. I've always done my hammer curls last, but that's just
I was gonna say that's the funniest part is as you said, I'm like, well, I always had shitty biceps and I always did them last. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Hey, you never know.
All right,
Might be something we
I never wanted to do the reverse curls last because I really cranked that wrist at the top and my forearms were shot when I would finish with those. I'm like, I'm done.
I've been doing those again. The return of the reverse easy bar.
That's an old school.
Do you do higher reps or what do you do? I always do like 20s with those.
Yeah, I try to get to 20s and I use like a 60 or a 70 and I do them super strict.
Yep.
And I flex my triceps at the bottom. But I hold the bar away from my thigh. So there's always a bit of tension, so I kind of hold the bar out in front of me just a bit, and then I just fucking super strict curl it. Yeah. Those are great.
Right. I love those too.
Okay.
We got a natty versus enhanced question here. What's the difference? What differences do you as coaches experience in training, dieting, natural versus enhanced athletes in regards to training, frequency, volume, etc., and nutrition as well?
Well,
not much.
Not a ton. I was gonna say it's really not a ton because I'm a huge proponent of training less anyhow, and you're gonna have a hard time getting below 4 days of training a week. I think I'll tell you what I do run into sometimes, and I love this about a lot of my natty clients, is they want to train so hard or so high volume to somehow make up for their lack of enhancement. So you have to remind them that's not how it works. You can't, working more with less ability to recover doesn't make sense. You just have to trust that it's not about how many sets you do or how many workouts you do, but what you do with those sets. So that's what we hyper analyze is the execution of every single set. And I think that goes for both sides, but I do find that a lot of natural guys are very clear that they don't have that. So they're focused, but in that same mentality, it becomes well, then I'll just work harder and we have to fight them on that, What about you?
Yeah, Rob? I tend to start natty guys exactly the same. Like I start their diets the same as anyone else. And where you go from there is just based on the feedback. Yep. Some guys get in shape with lots of food. Some guys got to diet super hard. I don't spend any time really thinking, oh, this guy's natty. Like once we're rolling. Yeah. Obviously I think, oh, he's natty at the beginning. I'm like, okay, he's natty. I got to know that. But at that point, then it's just it's noise. I just don't even consider it. It's all about manipulating calories in and calories out, managing training volume to a degree, which I try not to complicate. It's not like I have 10 different levels of training volume that I have people cycle through. I just basically tell people like, okay, let's back it down a little, or let's raise it up a little.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very, I'm not like the spreadsheet guy, but
it's the same with your
yeah.
enhanced guys though, right? Like I have mine actually list on their check-in. One of the questions is essentially, what are you on? Because I need it on the forefront of my mind when they check in, but sometimes they're surprised because they'll ask in it, you know, so I'll look and I'm like, oh, you're not on anything. And I'll have them say, if you're natural, just write NA. So I know to never ask. Like, oh, we're still on nothing. Like, we're never on anything. Okay, got it. Because some of these guys are, you know, you have to look at that. And then the other factor is just like you were saying, Ron, as far as the adjustment with food, it's the same with the enhanced guys. Like, if it's working, we change nothing. I'm like, oh, I guess we'll just do 200 milligrams of test. Fine. You're growing. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
I see it as like we have just less tools to toggle through. Like if you're thinking about a contest prep, I might factor in, if we were using, say, Clen and T3, then we might make a Clen change and then a diet change and a cardio change, you know, like each time we need to make changes, and you just have less tools to toggle through if you're not using those other options. So you lean more into the diet, more into the cardio or whatever, you know?
Right.
We had so many, like we did get this one. It's kind of more of a comment. I just wanted to say thank you. A few weeks back, you guys suggested taking days off as opposed to lifting 7 days a week. Strength started going up again. New stretch marks on my shoulders. So that's a win. I can't believe you listened. Like, that's a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? Like when people are training 7 days and then listen to a podcast and actually follow that advice and train less, that took a lot, you know?
Yeah, man. It's funny how it works.
Days he's training now?
Probably 6.
6.5, and I do calves and abs on the 7th day.
Yeah. Let's go to 5. Let's go to 5 with that one, and we'll just see.
Yeah.
You know? The thing is when you go from 7 days a week down to like 5, you'll notice that your workouts are more focused and you're more excited to train, and everything's just more intense, and you just build from there.
Yeah.
You know?
Fact.
You know what we didn't talk about? Reagan. Steve-O says, what's up with Reagan? How did he look in person?
Awesome.
I thought Reagan looked awesome. He's an awesome bodybuilder. Like, he really does have one of the nicest, most pleasing physiques in the world at this point. And he's, world-class physique. I don't know what they want from him. I think they want his arms a little bigger. And they want his back a little thicker. But I mean, God, the shape and the structure and how he looks when he poses, and his back double bicep, how it lays out, the hams and glutes and the back, and like, he's got everything. And I think Reagan still has, like, I know he's been pro for a few years now, and people are waiting for him to move into like the very top spots, which obviously he's won a couple shows and stuff. So it's been to the Olympia and stuff. Won one show? Did he win one show or 2 shows now?
Yeah. I don't know.
I can't remember.
I know he's won one, but I can't remember.
He's like very, very dangerous. Very, very
my answer is simple. He's one of the very best on the planet, for sure. So I think people don't realize is how good that very top group is, and breaking through that takes time. I mean, he's still young, and I mean, I'll be honest, like, looking up at that group of people, and if somebody said to me, all right, you're going to become a bodybuilder and you want to run with us, whose physique do you want? I mean, I'll be honest, I'd be like, it'd be Regan and Steve. Like, those are 2 guys that have the kind of frame that you're like, man, if it just keeps going, it's scary. I think in his physique, to me, is one of the prettiest out there. And I feel like he's improving every show. Like, we said that when he came out, I was like, damn, he looks good. Like,
if I had to walk around, either
yes.
one in anybody's physique, I would take Regan's or Steve's, because they're both like, same height as me, and I'm a little taller, but I kind of, I liked being 6 foot my whole life, so I'd want to stay that way, but they're up there. But it's very impressive. You know, his condition, he
Sure.
could have been a touch thinner skin, but he still had like shredded glutes. Like he wasn't like Regan
There's
wasn't
no knock.
off in like an off
No.
way at all. He just looked a little young. Like, I don't know what to say. He fucking looks awesome. There'll come a day when he's just that tad bit grainier with a little bit more mass, and everyone will be like, "Holy fuck!" And he'll win it, and he'll win like a bigger show, you know?
Yeah.
I can see that. Here's one that's kind of well, as he says, odd question. Do you think bodybuilding competitions could fit in some performance stuff like the 3 big lifts?
No, because you're dry.
No,
I like the idea,
No.
but the injuries would be out of control.
Oh God, yeah.
yeah,
You know, you're not. I mean, I tell people after shows, like, do not be excited and to train until Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, even if they got another show coming, I'm like, all right, you can go to the gym, but like, go through the motions, and we need to get hydrated. We got to get hydrated. Like,
yeah.
that body's waiting to go sideways.
Yeah. We had one from the Patreon, so I wanted to make sure we got that in here.
Oh, damn. Yes, we do.
Yeah, Frank, I believe it was. He had asked, and it was in reference to this contest, the Arnold 2-day shows. How have you managed, or how would you manage with your clients a 2-day show versus a 1-day show? Like, what's the real difference there?
Well, I mean, it just depends on how the first day goes. Hopefully you're peaked perfectly for prejudging and everything looks great. And at that point, I mean, like, for example, I had a guy do a 2-day show a little while ago, and he looked fantastic and it went perfectly well. And so actually it was 2 shows. It was 2 shows 2 days in a row, because he won the pro card and then did the Toronto Pro the next day. It was ditto.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did was, he was down to like, I think he was having like 200 mils of water with each meal on Friday. You know, like he drank a lot. So he drank all day Friday. He was doing like a liter with each meal, like fucking flush. And then I think it was like 6:00 PM or something, I cut it to 250 mils per meal. And he just did that and pissed all night, obviously, and woke up in the morning nice and dry. We actually had to rehydrate a little bit to get his weight up a bit. And then he went to the morning show and looked awesome. And then I just said, okay, well, you know, you're kind of where you need to be. So let's do just 500 mils per meal and just try to hold your weight. And he just sort of stayed the same for like 24 hours and looked a little bit fuller the next day. Put like another liter or 2 in. Like, there was no real dehydration with him. It was just like lowered it and then put it back up again. Kind of got to flush you out a bit. Like after the first show, he drank like a liter or 2 liters or something, and then bring it back down. And, you know, you want to make sure you stay pissing and all that stuff, you know, and it's just kind of like that. It's just kind of water management. It's just kind of holding. There's nothing radical or anything. If you're in shape, you got to make sure you don't like over dry and get flat for the second day if you're doing a 2-day show. And you got to make sure you don't like eat too much shit. Some people go crazy after prejudging and look like garbage the next day. You got to just manage your look. But hopefully it's just kind of a whole lot of doing nothing different.
Yeah.
You know, you do have to put some fluid in after the first day. Like you do prejudging on Friday or whatever, you got to put like a liter or 2 in right after the show and get the body flushing. So you're pissing, get those hormones all settled out. And then you can like kind of lock it back down again.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my thing anyway.
You got anything you wanted to add to that, Dusty?
No.
All right.
we also came up with the same coaches at the same time, so it's almost identical. I'm like, and that's what we do. Okay, perfect.
Oh, how was
I've had a few that you keep grinding, but that's it. Jamie? Terrible.
Jamie Johal. Jamie, how was meeting Jamie the Giant in person?
It's fucking garbage. Garbage experience.
Worst. We only had him around us the entire weekend. He only came by the booth, and we just literally made him put his stuff down, and he was an honorary mutant for like 2 hours. We probably took 100 or 200 pictures with him, and he's just a class human all the way around.
That's
my
cool.
Answer.
Yeah, really good dude. I saw him at the meet and greet, and he was all dressed up like a proper British gentleman.
Nice.
And I said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I came on my own. I'm just came on my own. I just wanted to meet people, network. I thought it would be a career move. Write it off on the business."
Yep.
And I was like, "Fucking A." So he wound up hanging out with us like the whole time. And then I said, "Hey, man, like you came all this way. Why don't you? We got a bit of room. Why don't you park your shit in the mutant booth for a few hours, take pictures with people, and just make your trip worthwhile? Like, we're not asking for anything from you. You're free to just stand here. You don't have to wear a shirt or anything, but you can like really get in a bunch of pictures." And so he did that a couple of times, had a lot of fun. And
cool.
yeah, he was popular at the Expo day, Dusty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think I actually had a few people that I know, some clients that had no idea how big he is because he's 6'5", but also has like, his shoulders are 6 feet across, and then he's got a small waist, so he just looks menacing in person.
His V taper in person is crazy. Like
I'm also
he's
impressed
got the
because
most extreme.
what about his limbs? I mean, he's got these long ass arms, but they still got to be 21 inches. I mean, they look like they're 24 inches because
they might be
so
bigger
wacky.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
nuts,
huge,
man.
Nuts in person.
Yeah.
We don't disagree
biggest
with
guy
that.
at the Expo, other than like there'll be some strong men that are bigger, like, big, huge 400-pound guys. But Jamie Johal's like the biggest guy at the Expo for sure.
That's cool.
For bodybuilders.
Ron, do you have any like funny questions? Because I know your people that message you have a sense of humor, and we've got we've got a lot of like our people here. Our people here are they're very, very bodybuilding centric, which I appreciate that, but we got a lot of bodybuilding questions here. I'll throw this one up for you, Dusty, while you guys are kind of considering that. Do you believe that GDAs are truly effective for cheat meals during a calorie deficit? Have had great luck with metformin, but cannot access anything other than supplements now. I think berberine works pretty good in comparison to metformin, personally.
I was gonna say, I think that here's what I'll say: they're not magic, so don't think that you're magically making the calories go away. But if you factor in what they do to blood glucose levels and things like that, they absolutely work. I was I don't want to say a non-believer because I understand the science, but it just seemed like another fucking thing to take. And then when I was sponsored with Condemned, I took them and I could actually tell. I could literally tell a difference in how I felt using them when I'd go out and have like a big high carb meal or something. I was like, oh, okay. I definitely don't feel the jump and the crash.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what that means with the body. So yeah, they absolutely work. Toss them in the mix. Just don't. I think it's one of those things that the only thing I press for with clients and people is don't treat them like they're magic. That's like the guys who think that they're just going to throw in diuretics at the end and that'll make them lose fat. Like, you're still fat, fatty. Relax. But yeah, if used properly, it definitely is a help.
So when people say, does it work? You can go, well, here's like for example, chromium picolinate is a great GDA. It increases insulin sensitivity. I mean, we just know it does. Cinnamon also has an effect on insulin sensitivity. We've got lots of studies that show that it does move the needle slightly. So are these things enough to notice? Like where you actually notice? Probably not. Like, you'd have like, were you going to feel it? No, you're not going to feel anything. But we know that if you include them for like a 4-month prep and use them every day, it should move the needle on your insulin sensitivity, your insulin output, the amount of insulin that's overall for that entire long period of time, 4 months, that cumulative amount of time. Maybe you wind up leaner with another couple of striations in your glutes or something. So we have to stop thinking like, does it work? Like, am I going to notice it? Well, no, you're not going to notice it. But if it's running in the background for 5 months straight while you're working hard, then it probably will contribute. Like, I don't know, if it moves the needle that much, do you want it? And then maybe something else you're doing moves the needle that much, and something else you're doing moves the needle that much. You have to think like that.
Yeah, I like
I always
that.
think backwards too, because you could say the same about, would 2 chocolate chip cookies a week kill my prep? Probably
Right.
not,
Hmm.
but it's definitely the wrong direction. So do you
Yeah.
want to do that? You know, I mean, because
Right.
it's like when clients think they're getting away with something. I'm like, well, it did hurt you. If you did that every week for the 12 weeks, we're going the wrong way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. One thing I want to mention, I see on the side here, the one guy, Ralph, he says Reagan had COVID during his prep. He looked his best last November at the Legion when he took second to Sean. And it's an interesting point. He mentions Reagan had COVID because a lot of guys had COVID.
Yeah.
Like Akeem pulled out because of COVID. Akeem came and talked to us about how he was sick for 2 weeks. He didn't train.
Yep.
And then we talked to Terrence
same with
Ruffins,
Terrence.
and Terrence,
Yep.
yeah, Terrence told us. So get this. Terrence said he was 180 at the Olympia or last year when he won. What did he say? 180
I
last
can't
year when he
remember,
won?
but I know he's
It was
down
last
10
year,
pounds from
'cause-
then. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. No kidding.
But he 10 pounds. He said he was 180 last year and 170 this year
Holy
because of
shit.
COVID.
Holy shit.
And he's not a big guy, man.
Yeah.
So 10 pounds on his frame is a ton.
That's
So
crazy.
He's gonna look way better at the Olympia because he's got some weight to gain back. He just said he couldn't gain the weight back because he was dieting, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And because it hit him, he had COVID when he was dieting, so he just couldn't gain the weight back.
Huh. I didn't know that. How about this one? Speaking of him, just curious, why is it that most of the classic guys are lower body dominant and lacking in arms? I always remember the classic era guys having plenty of gnarly arms. And I feel like some of those guys have pretty good arms.
I do know what he means, though. Like I see
get it.
a couple of guys that I get what he says, and he is kind of right. Like when I look at classic bodybuilding, because of what it's supposed to be and how they've written it out with the body weights and everything, I sort of, when I see a guy who's got like real big arms and maybe his legs are great, but they're not like crazy.
Yeah.
I think, oh, that guy's got like that guy's going to do great in classic. But if I see a classic guy with giant quads and weak arms, I don't think the same thing. So
Right.
he's got a
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think what it comes down to is the classic is the reference point. Because if you look back, I mean, not that you want to have weak arms or strong legs or vice versa, but they want the balance now that wasn't as obsessive back then. Because if you were to take Arnold and drop him on a stage now, I'm not saying being competitive, obviously, but the first thing a judge would say is you need to bring your legs up.
Yeah.
Like for sure, because the game has changed. And the classic is we want that classic look plus. You know what I mean? So I think they want the Arnold upper body if they can, but they definitely don't want him purposely lagging in the legs. And I think a lot of the reason right now, my answer to that question is a lot of the sport that are great classic guys now, they started their quest to become bodybuilders. Now they might have cut it short because classic came in a few years ago, but legs was an obsession early in their chase. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, what you've really got is you look at a guy like Bunstead, and he is the standard, and you got to have both.
Yeah. Terrence was
You know,
like
that's
all
what I
legs.
always go back to.
Terrence was like all legs
yeah.
at first, when he first started. But incredible. Like he could compete. I don't know. I feel like I remember there was a point in bodybuilding early on where I was like, you know what? If I have to be unbalanced, I would rather be a guy that had really big legs. I feel like if you have like little legs and an upper body, and I'm just speaking bodybuilding in general, you don't get as much respect as if because you're still not a big guy then if you're missing half your body. But if you have like crazy wheels and your upper body is just like kind of slight, you still are like, hell yeah, that guy's a badass. You know what I mean?
right. I
We used to say, Scott,
it's
you'll
like
love
that.
this. We used
Like
to
that
say,
German cyclist.
if you saw a guy in the gym and he had big baggy pants on and a tank top with big arms, you would say to yourself, I wonder if he has big legs.
Yeah.
But if you saw a guy in like short shorts that were fucking massive and a giant hoodie, you're like, I know his fucking arms are big. Because you just know, like, you didn't build those legs and you decided not to train chest really hard or something. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're like, I know the hell it took to get those legs, so everything else must be pretty fucking good.
I should tell people to thank you, by the way. Carolyn said, how does it feel to be married? Elbow cough. I got to tell you, we had so many people that had commented and stuff on all the shows recently. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody for all of your well wishes and everything, because it's been really cool. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but I met Victoria on a podcast. So people actually saw us like together for the very first time. Like my first meeting with her was on the air. And then I guess I talked about it on Bodybuilding Nerds. And people told me, they were like, when we started dating, people were like, you had a crush on her since forever. Because I talk about the shows and talk about the people and stuff. So people had kind of been around.
You kept leaning towards one person a little more.
So
You didn't talk about my show very much, I can tell you that.
I noticed there was a comment early on. It said, the streets lost a good one.
I saw that too. That's
Sad
classic.
day,
That's a
the streets
great
lost a good one.
comment.
No.
Oh, that's good
Got a
shit.
ring now.
Hey, now here's a question. During the wedding, was there any concealed carry happening?
She asked me ahead of time not to carry at the wedding. So
But she
It
had
actually
one on her
came
leg,
up?
right?
no. Yeah, it came up. But there's a but there. I had my duffel bag not far away. Just to
Not
have in the
far,
car.
just
You know,
in case.
more like I knew nothing was going to happen at the greenhouse, but hey, you got to get in the car and drive to the next venue, and you got to
You're
have
in Michigan. Anything can happen.
exactly.
Exactly. Okay, that was very important. I saw you guys doing the deed with you're dressed up and stuff, and I thought, I wonder. I'm looking down by your ankle to see if maybe you got an ankle holster on.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a little bit of something in there. I don't know. I figured there'd be some kind of firearm involved.
Yeah.
He was very uncomfortable without it, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's
I
good
was
stuff.
thankfully we made it. I didn't have a gun on me. We didn't need a gun, so we're good.
You got time for one more?
Okay. Yes, one more.
Do you guys have
We've
a
been
good
going
one?
a while now.
Do you guys have like a funny question, anything like that? I want to know, like, would you rather something or something, and you don't want to do either? We need something like that. Maybe one of our people has one. Otherwise, I have another body.
Anyone have like a
question.
Mary fuck kill we could do with
Something
food
like
or...
that? Yeah, with food.
Yeah, maybe why don't we just ask them? We'll just ask them. That's right. Let's
We'll
see.
just hang out.
Quick, somebody fire up a
post
Mary
in-
fuck kill that has to do with food.
Yeah, let's see a few come up. We'll see what someone can give us.
All right, so
We'll
we'll have
give
to do
them a
something
minute.
else though in the meantime while we wait.
Thousands. They're all typing.
Yes.
Racing to see who gets pulled up by Scott.
While they're thinking about that, I'll ask you this question, Ron, because it's another training question. Did your back workout look exactly like Dorian's in your prime, one set, or was it like a top set, back off set type deal?
Yeah, I sort of found success. Like I did Dorian's volume I did try his level of volume, but I always wound up raising it a little bit. So like where he would do 4 sets for body part, I would do like 6. I would double up on the odd exercise. Like on hacks, I do 2 work sets, but on other things, I might do 1. So it was a little bit more volume, and the back workout was probably where I sort of added the most volume. Probably 2 to every one of his sets. But yeah, that's how it kind of looked. Exactly the same structure. I did the same types of movements and everything. It was very much the same. I remember when I got the video, the only difference was my gym at the time didn't have a hammer row. So I was doing 1-arm dumbbell rows, but that was the only difference when I got the video.
I felt pretty famous that Natalia's watching our live, by the way.
She's awesome, right?
Oh my goodness, really?
One of the best in the world.
Yeah, one of the best. She's definitely one of my favorites. She's my favorite classic physique. Women's physique. She's amazing.
Right.
All right, so we
Which
did
is
have
basically classic physique for women.
right. We had a few.
That
Now,
was good.
we've got a few that popped up here. So I don't know where we want to go with this. Ice cream or cake? Pick one forever. That's one question. Then fuck, marry, kill, peanut butter, Nutella, honey, and then
Oh, that's easy for me.
Morgan also
Easy.
asks sushi, pasta, pizza. So you guys have to pick one of those. Sounds like Dusty, you found your jam there.
Dude, I'm doing a few of them. These are easy.
Okay.
All right. So where we go? Peanut butter.
go ahead.
Nutella.
Go
All
ahead.
right.
So,
I'm killing honey. I'm fucking Nutella because I don't need her on the regular, but when she comes through, I love her. And peanut butter every night, baby. We're in this together unless Nutella's around.
I'm the same. Nutella would be the mistress that I banged when I'm in Vegas, and then peanut butter would be the everyday driver, definitely.
Yeah.
And I just love it right every single day, just like the first. And honey, never need to see ever again.
We should just get rid of honey. Because normal people like if you get somebody who doesn't know anything about dieting and they're like, oh yeah, I followed your plan 100%, but I also added a tablespoon of honey to my tea every hour on the hour.
It's supposed to be really good for my blood,
really healthy,
or whatever they say.
Real healthy.
Okay.
All right, what's another one? I thought Morgan put one up too.
Yes, he's got sushi, pasta, pizza.
Go, Ron.
Easy. I marry pizza. I fuck pasta, and I kill sushi.
I'm with you.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
See, now that's interesting. Because I would marry sushi because I can eat it every day. And pizza would be my mistress because pasta for me only counts if I have something in it. I need like shrimp or chicken. Like pasta alone, I don't need it in my life. So
right.
There we go.
If I was bodybuilding, if I'm talking about bodybuilding and I'm trying to like make a diet work, then I would marry the pasta, and I would.
Oh yeah, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's just
daily.
For me, pasta without something in it. It's
I know what you're saying. So what about the ice cream or cake one? Choose one forever.
We've got one final question for the show here. One important question. Ice cream.
I'm doing ice cream for sure.
Yeah.
Because I can do so much with it. I can put shit on it. I can throw my treats on there. I can go for days with ice cream. We're good.
He does say though, he had a caveat in there. So cake includes pastries and muffins. Is that still all right?
Oh, that doesn't even the same thing anymore. Now I've got a fucking variety because oh wow, that's tough.
Huh.
Pastry. I like
pastries. I say if a gun's to my head, I have to still go with ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, the cool
all the varieties.
No more butter tarts then. That's a pastry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a pastry. Ice cream.
Okay.
But still,
ice cream all the way.
Scott, jam into your ice cream. It's amazing. All right,
yes.
There we go. I'm glad we hit up with something that finally mattered after all that useless 2 hours.
Get something important. Yeah, important in there, right?
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for joining us on the live. We had a lot of fun. We don't do these often. We just did it because we couldn't record Monday. So it's nice to have an out so we can still come out on time, because we all know that in the world of YouTube, consistency is king.
Yes.
So we want to make sure we don't miss weeks, and miss a week. So we just, we apologize. But we definitely, it's awesome to be back traveling. The highlight of the trip was seeing Dusty Hanshaw alive and well. And you know what? The trick's good on you, man. I might make more V-neck shirts. You got to do a V-neck shirt just to show off that.
Get him out there.
Cover that
my
up,
near death everywhere I go.
Yeah, just a fucking reminder. Got to work hard today. So and some amazing conversations with some of you guys. Like some of the stuff you guys told us. We didn't want to get, I had people tell me pretty personal stories, like the show helped them through stuff and all that sort of shit. So I do appreciate that we're not just talking about, assholes and weed all the time. I meant assholes like actual assholes, not like jerks. But it is fun when those topics come up, but it's nice to know that people get more out of the show. So thank you very much. And I guess we'll see you again next week, right, guys? Anything to add before we go?
Yes.
That's it.
Like.
Yes.
Share. And subscribe, guys. We have all sorts of podcasts coming out. So if you're new here, we would love to have you along for all of them. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. And Dusty.
And comment.
Yeah.
Don't say hit the bell. That's
I
mine.
said I did Dusty's part. Thank you,
There
Dusty.
you go.
I was waiting.
Okay, thanks everybody. And remember, Dusty Hanshaw shirts are available. Fuck attention and respect. I just had to plug that for you, buddy. Okay,
Gracias, sir.
it's just bodybuilding.